Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today, we're going to go ahead and cover Amberlynn Reid. As far as I'm aware, I've been alerted that she has hypothyroidism. So I want to go ahead and break this down a little bit as we watch it and really talk about the interaction with this type of diagnosis within the toxic ritualistic world, aka B followed by E followed by D. I have to talk kind of codedly because YouTube is very extra. So let's go ahead and start this and I'll tell you what I think. Oh my gosh, my freaking slime videos. I've been obsessed with slime lately. Okay, let's go. My brain is turning to slime.
Hey guys, welcome to a new weigh-in video. I feel like I kind of have a lot of things to talk about, so let's jump right into the 5 questions. So for the 5 questions, I get them on Instagram. I post a little thing on my story that says, ask me any questions that are weight, food, health related, and then I gather them, and I even have a list of like backup questions. Why were you so proud of yourself for not weighing in daily? So food isn't the only relationship that I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to also work on the relationship with my vaping. That's why I've quit that, even though I have highly relied on it. And I'm working on my relationship with the scale because I can become extremely obsessed with it.
Okay, so I have to say this is a situation that a lot of people within this issue, they mix up. It's not that you just become obsessive, it's that you already are. You're obsessed with food essentially. And so if you start to try not to do that anymore or try not to be that way, you tend to transfer obsessions really, really easily. I literally just said I've been obsessed with slime videos. However, some obsessions are harmful, like being obsessed with food, and others are not, like being obsessed with slime videos and stuff. I'm just saying, I don't know what's happened to me, but literally I'm watching it all the time. I think a lot of people with this problem, they're very concerned about being obsessive, but you probably are. It might even just be a personality trait, honestly. I think it is a personality trait that puts you at risk for the problem. So I think it isn't the best to be obsessed with the scale, but if you're waiting on some perfect situation, Amber, where you're just not going to be obsessed about anything to lose weight, that's never going to happen. That's called fairy tale dream world because it probably has to do with your personality. You might just be an obsessive person. I am myself, and I don't make any bones about it. I don't really care. There's, I get it as millennials, there's a huge anti-introvert sentiment growing up, and how dare you focus on anything. Everything when we were growing up was all about you want to have breadth of experience and try everything and do everything once and all this crap. I never bought into it. I'm super introverted. I'm proud of it. I am obsessive. I'm obsessed with Taylor Swift. That's another thing. Another person or a person I've been obsessed with for years. I'm obsessed with slime videos now. I've been obsessed with horror movies. There was a moment last summer I was absolutely obsessed with the Saw series. Like I just could not stop thinking about it. And it just goes on and on. It never ends. It never ends. There's always something that I am obsessed with. And for me, it was just so deep that I couldn't even like try to deny it. But when I hear other people say that, I think especially within the problem, I just think that it's never going to go away. Like just be obsessed with something that isn't harmful. Okay?
There are times where I will literally weigh myself multiple times a day. And this is extremely unhealthy because I will see a normal fluctuation that happens to
There's still nothing wrong with weighing yourself once a day. If you need to, you can. If you want to do it just once a week, that's also fine. But you're not getting any kind of victory by not weighing yourself. It doesn't really mean anything. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. I don't think she has to weigh herself, but it's not like, I don't like her framing this as some kind of a victory that she's not doing it, or like she's really having self-control here by not doing it. It's kind of BS. I don't see that as real. Like, that's not reality. It's almost like a false goal. It would be more impressive to me personally if she just weighed herself in the morning and that was it, and just left it at that, rather than trying to weigh constantly all day. It's just not productive. I don't know.
Everybody, and I will take that fluctuation and it'll trigger me and spiral me, and
That's probably why she's doing it. She's trying to specifically get triggered so that she can engage in the behaviors.
sometimes it'll cause me to overeat or emotional eat.
It doesn't cause you to do anything. You allow it. I'll put it to you that way. You force yourself to get triggered so that you will engage in it. And Amber is very severe. She's extremely severe in my opinion. So don't, if you have this problem, or if you have shades of it or something and it's not something that's diagnosable, or it's not strong enough, or you don't meet criteria or whatever, don't feel like you have to be like her, or that you're just like her, or that I'm saying you're like her. She's an extreme case, or she's very, very severe. So just keep that in mind, okay? Just keep it in mind. There is some gray area and some nuance to this. I was very severe as well when I was really in it, but no, I'm not in it at all at this point.
But regardless, it's just not healthy. It doesn't make sense, but it is something that can be fixed, so I'm trying to fix it. So the fact that I was able to go a whole week without weighing myself is crazy. Have you noticed your face
It's not crazy.
also swells when you are swollen?
Not an ad, hold on.
And my mom also experiences it, so it might be like common or like genetic. Like literally in my last vlog, my last weekly vlog.
So I think she's talking about her face swelling. That is a symptom of hypothyroidism. It's called moon face, which, by the way, I clocked Amber, I think at least in 2023. I was like, she's very obviously hypothyroid. But you can tell from her face. Her face is a complete moon. And that's not to be shade or whatever. It's just reality. Like, it's very obvious that she's extremely hypothyroid. But again, that doesn't mean that she doesn't also have EFA by the letter D very severely as well. And they often overlap. They did for me as well, because the DIS order causes hypothyroidism because you are not treating your system very well. So it will cause it through various means. I think pretty much all of them will do that. I know it's the same on the reductive side as well, for sure. I don't know enough about, the other one, but as far as the one where you're doing too much or too little, definitely. They both cause hypo.
I noticed it, and I'll show you guys a clip where it's like the beginning of my vlog, I am so swollen. And then towards the ending, you can like literally see how much I've deswelled. So that's why when I see people are like, oh my God, it's so like noticeable that Amberlynn has gained weight. It's like, yeah, but also a lot of the times like you're seeing me really swollen. So sometimes it's a lot more obvious, like in my chin or around my eyes or my cheeks, or sometimes it's just my lips.
Yeah, so when it comes to swelling, a lot of people have misconceptions about swelling, especially within supermorbid obesity. It can be very drastic. It can be, like, for me, very often, I wouldn't say very often, but especially around winter, the winter solstice, so when we get towards around Christmas time, I would swell about 20 pounds. In 2023, I was super morbidly obese. I ate a lot throughout November and December that year. I was just very hungry. I had done the deficit like all year. The seasonality hit and I was hungry. So I ate a lot in November and I gained probably like 10 pounds in November, which is crazy. But in December, I gained another 20, which was swelling. and it went right away in the new year, pretty fast. So a lot of people just don't have a concept of that. I do. I can understand what she's saying. She may be swelling drastically, but a lot of it also has to do with what you're eating, and if you're eating a lot and all these types of things too, that can also cause swelling, especially within hypothyroidism. If you have a lot of seed oil consumption going on, it's really not great for hypothyroidism. It makes your symptoms worse and you will swell like crazy. You swell, swell, swell. Oh my goodness. It is wild. So that's in a lot of chips, for example, makes you swell like crazy. It's crazy. And people always blame the salt, but no, it has more to do with that, at least from a hypothyroid perspective, because you can literally not have as much salt and you'll still swell like crazy if you have those oils. But people don't get that. They don't understand the physical side of it, I guess. They don't understand hypothyroidism. It's not the most understood thing. Like, people think of it as very uniform, but it's not necessarily. Different people have different issues. Some have issues with production, for example, which in that case you would need a medication. Other people have issues with utilization, which that's typically what will happen to somebody with BINGE, is they may have like a fatty liver, like I do or did. I don't know if I still have it, but I know I had it from a young age. That causes issues because you can't convert the hormone very well. So you may be producing it in the thyroid, but the liver isn't able to convert it properly. And then also high PUFA consumption specifically, which is polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are within seed oils especially. They do not allow you to utilize that hormone properly either. And it also can cause insulin resistance and a lot of things, especially when it's in very high amounts, which it tends to be in people who are BINGing, because a lot of processed foods and fried foods are made in those specific oils. So you can induce yourself into a hypothyroid state if you eat enough of that. It can cause it to happen because it is anti-thyroid. However, most people don't have that much. So it's not like it's always going to happen. So it's not 100% black and white. But if you've gotten yourself to hypothyroidism in one way or another, you're going to have a problem. If you have like chips, you're going to swell like crazy. That's all I'm trying to say. It will happen.
Legs, my arms, but this was the beginning of my vlog, and then here I was at the end, where you can tell that the swelling has definitely gone down. So sometimes I do look bigger, sometimes I do look smaller, and that's just the way it goes with the things that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Is it true that you would stay this size if it was healthy? So in one of my last live streams, I talked about the fact that, like, if it wasn't for the fact that being this size was unhealthy, I wouldn't feel like this urgency or this anxiety or constantly talk about weight loss. I wouldn't care so much to lose weight. And what I mean by that is I'm not doing it for vanity reasons. I'm not doing it for shallow reasons.
So when it comes to that, I understand that, and I don't really suggest doing it for those reasons when you're super morbidly obese, because you are probably not going to see much result for a lot of years, oftentimes. And that's just the reality of it. You need to just focus on the process and honestly be patient, and it's really tough. It's a tough process. There's a lot of physical issues in that phase of weight loss. Honestly, it takes up pretty much, there's just a lot of physical issues, period, whether you're losing weight or not at that size. So when you're losing weight, the physical issues are very loud and you have to deal with it. So you're typically busy focusing on getting through that stuff. I used to refer to a lot of these things as hormonal storms on my channel, like 2 or 3 years ago. Especially 2 years ago, I would talk about it a lot. But I literally would talk about like how in 2021, when I was working on my hypothyroid recovery, certain times of the year, I'd have to kind of go through these hormonal storms and let them pass. And it was crazy because it affects how you think. It affects everything, how your body works. I get extreme like muscle stiffness and swelling. And when it's really bad, like it causes you to have issues absorbing minerals, especially like calcium and iron. Your digestive system doesn't work as well. I mean, it's a lot. I always had to like, I don't want to get too graphic, but it's like I always had to rush to the bathroom constantly. I had terrible SIBO, so that was horrible. Like your digestion is trashed because it makes your stomach acid really weak. And so then it's even harder to get nutrients and stuff. And it makes you really, really hungry too. So it does. And then when you combine that with the toxic ritualistic, it's almost impossible for a lot of people to get out because you are genuinely very hungry. And then you don't really have any motivation to get out of it if you're within the problem, if you're within the toxic ritualistic world. So the interaction of the two, it's like a pit of death. It's really hard to get out. And it's a lot more common than people would like to think, especially if you're super morbidly obese. I would even say being super morbidly obese, you likely have a form of hypothyroidism, period, because your estrogen is so high in that stage and in that state. And estrogen hormone opposes thyroid hormone. So if your estrogen is really high, it will make you have hypothyroidism too. So there's a lot to it that a lot of people just do not understand about the condition. It affects almost every system of your body. It's really tough. It is a bitch. It is a bitch to have. And even if you're taking medication, if you don't change your lifestyle, if you don't focus on things and make sure your body can utilize that medication and that hormone properly, you will completely undo your medication. You gotta change your lifestyle, Amber. And she probably won't. I did see one of the comments. She's like, a new excuse unlocked. It's not an excuse, babes. Hypothyroidism is no excuse. It's oh shit, I have to be really fucking strict. I didn't drink a drop of alcohol for 3 years while I was recovering. 0. Because alcohol is a no-no with hypothyroidism. Weed, nope. You gotta be stone cold sober. It is not helpful with hypothyroidism. And those are just not necessary. Even as a woman, birth control is antithyroid as well. You have to make certain decisions. It's tough. It's a tough disorder. So you have to take it seriously because honestly, I feel like as a health problem, it kind of just makes your life a living hell because it does affect your brain too. It affects the way you think. You can't think as clearly. You get brain fog. You start to live off of adrenaline because your body has to create energy somehow, and that changes how you view the world. It makes you see everything as us versus them, and everyone's out to get me, and it can make you paranoid. There's a lot of stuff that the disorder can do. Or I don't want to call it a disorder, but the disease. Sorry, that's a disease. There's a lot of stuff that can do. And dating, honey, with uncontrolled hypothyroidism, good luck. Good luck, babe. Because you're probably going to be all over the place. It's a tough disease. It is tough. There's a lot of ways to fix it. But honey, you're going to have to change your lifestyle. That's just a fact. And you have to be strict. I had to be very strict. Very, very strict. But it worked. I'm okay now. I think at this point I probably have it very, very, very mildly just because of the fact that I'm losing weight. Because guess what? Weight loss is also antithyroid, but you also have to lose weight to deal with it because you have to bring the estrogen down. It's a bitch. It's tough. And I just don't I don't mean to sound so negative and horrible, but I just don't think Amberlynn Reid has the... I don't think she has the drive to figure it out or to fix it, because you have to really balance things. Like, she'd have to really sit down and focus on her health, like, for years. And I just can't see it happening.
I'm not doing it for my looks. I am doing it for my health. That is why I've always been very much...
She's talking about doing it. She's not actually doing it. She's talking about doing it. And that needs to be stated. That's a part of the disorder. That's more on the psychological side. So she's obsessed with it. She talks about it. There's all these stories around it. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. She has certain numbers in her mind that she's seen before, right? Like, that's all the psychological side. So you can see how well they fit together like a glove. And it's very tough when you have both of them, which, like I said, it was very obvious that she had hypothyroidism because of her face. You can see it on her face.
About body positivity in the sense of everyone is beautiful regardless of what they look like or the size that they are. But I do not believe in health at every size, and I never have. But yes, if I could be healthy, if being fat was not an unhealthy thing, then I wouldn't care. Because again, this is not for vanity reasons. I'm not fat phobic. I don't think that fat people are ugly. Nothing like that. It's strictly because I want to be healthy, I want to feel better, and I want to live a longer life.
Machine learning is advancing, but business...
Get those ads, girly. I don't know why the ads are like jump scaring me today. I'm really extra right now.
What do you mean you'd feel lethargic eating French fries? So what I meant by that is like I'd feel sluggish. It's just like a slug.
It's in those oils. Just stop. Just don't have them. You'll feel better. I'm telling you. Or have it in coconut oil or something. Have it in a different type of fat. It's going to be okay. You'll have less energy issues. It really makes you feel like crap.
Sluggish feeling. Nobody feels good after eating junky types of food. I know I feel way better, way lighter.
When I think the moment I realized I needed to stop with the damn seed oils, I had like a reckoning. And it was because I didn't want to believe it. I just didn't. I was like a lot of people where I just was like, I don't want to change my lifestyle. I don't want to believe that I have to. I don't want to believe that I have to cut that out. But it was this moment where I had been eating kind of a lot. It was in 2021. I had been eating a lot. I was coming off of an attempt at keto, and I was hungry, and I was just eating quite a bit. I ate quite a bit back then. I wouldn't say I was BINGing. I was just eating a lot. I'll put it to you that way. And I was hungry. And so I ate a lot, and I was eating like rice with salt on it and butter. I was having like ice cream and marshmallows, like things like that, like especially a lot of carbs because I had just been keto and my body was like, give me carbs. And I was kind of like feeling better a little bit, and I was like whatever, da da da. But I wasn't having any seed oils or anything like that because I was like just kind of experimenting with it. Then one day I had tortilla chips. Good Lord. I swelled. I gained like 6 or 7 pounds of water, and I went ballistic. I went crazy. My anxiety went through the roof. I could not sleep for days, and I visibly gained weight because I gained so much water. And like I said, I was having tons of salt before I had that. So I could tell it was like, whoa. It was like a punch to the thyroid. And I was like, holy crap. And I was very severe back then. So these swings were so drastic. But it's like after that moment, because I crashed out on, oh gosh, I swore I wasn't going to bring that person up. But I crashed out on my boyfriend at the time terribly. Terribly. I mean, like a week-long spell. Like, I went ballistic mentally as well. And I just knew after that, I was like, I can't do this. There's something to this. So I didn't do it. I started my thyroid protocol right around that time. That happened like early March 2021. After that experience, I didn't do it anymore. I started my thyroid protocol and I started to feel better over a long period of time, but it was a battle. It was rough. But no, I'm telling you, a lot of people got so pissed when I initially was talking about those oils. They've been politicized, which is really stupid. But I'm telling you, if you're hypo, do not eat them. Just don't. Do not. Please, for the love of God, do not eat them. They are horrible for you. And I'm going to just keep saying it. And I know, I don't care if it pisses people off. You need to hear it. If you have hypothyroidism, you need to hear it. Because you might be like, why don't I feel better? Why am I struggling? Look at how much of those you're eating. And just eliminate them completely. And you'll probably feel better. Because it can affect even your medication, like I told you. It can affect it. And obviously, I would say it goes without saying, but if you're drinking like a fish, and if you're smoking MJ constantly, you need to quit. Those are just not necessary, and they are very unhelpful with hypothyroidism. You have to take it seriously. I think that's the thing that makes me angry about it sometimes, is people talk about it as if it's an excuse, and it's not. And then people that don't have it, they also bash it and are like, it's not even real. It's not a thing. And it's like, no, it's very real. It's extremely real. Like, if you have it, oh Lord, it is, like I said, it is one hell of a disease. That's all I can say. And being super morbidly obese on top of it is very hard to get out of it, because weight loss in and of itself is anti-thyroid. So it's difficult. It's a very difficult balance.
After I eat a healthier meal versus an unhealthy meal. But being lethargic and tired, those things can happen at the same time, but they are two different things. Because a lot of people are like, girl, you just said that you don't get tired after food, but now you're saying that you get lethargic. Yeah, two different things. So this was the most popular question I received this week is, why'd you go to Denny's after the hospital? My mom was hungry, and I'm not gonna lie, so was I. It was past midnight and we were at the hospital for hours. Neither of us ate anything that day. I was not expecting to be at the hospital that long, and neither was my mom. I didn't go to the hospital for some like crazy critical thing. I was directed by my doctor's office to go to urgent care, and then urgent care directed me to go to the ER because urgent care actually does not do ultrasounds. And then I ended up calling the emergency room just to see like if I can come in, and they told me I should probably get that looked at. So I went there for an ultrasound. I didn't go there for like anything critical or crazy. Like, people still have to eat. My mom said she was not going to go home and like cook something. I didn't want to come home and cook something. It was really late. I was exhausted. I know she was as well. Like, eating is still a thing that happens regardless if someone goes to a hospital or not. And I got a salad.
Yes, but again, a lot of restaurant food has a lot of those oils, and if you're hypo, you're gonna have to start thinking about it more. You're gonna have to maybe not go out to eat. You might have to stop getting takeout. You don't have the luxury to do that anymore. Now that you know that you are hypo, you have to stop. I didn't go out very often. Those first 3 years of recovery, I didn't. It was very rare. I wonder why, right? You have to take that stuff seriously.
At Denny's. So next part is I want to talk about how my week went. So I've been going through a lot of stress, anxiety, worry, depression, some very low lows. I have shared a very small fraction of it, but majority of it is happening behind the scenes. I'm absolutely, without a doubt, suffering in silence. So I did have my doctor appointment yesterday because I was able to respond to the wait list really quickly. When they sent me the text message, I accepted a new appointment. So this next part of this video I will be talking about in my weekly vlog as well, because my weigh-in videos don't get as many views as my other videos, and I want majority of people who watch me to hear this, because this is like a big change in my life that's about to happen. So I will be also talking about this in my weekly vlog. So the first thing I want to talk about is Zepbound. That is the GLP-1 that I was going to go on, which is the weight loss injection. And my doctor prescribed it to me. And based on all of the research I've done, I was like, okay, yes, it is very expensive, but it is doable. So I get to the pharmacy, and turns out that is not the case at all. The pharmacy told me that the prices have raised, and it's like, okay, in my head I was like, all right, so the first month is just the beginning dose, which is obviously the cheapest month, but my doctor told me that the beginning dose is not going to do anything for me. So when I increase the Zepbound, it's going to increase the price, and I don't have that money. That's okay. I am currently working on my relationship with food, and instead of doing it alone, I'm going to let professionals help me. My doctor did confirm, like, your hysterectomy makes it a lot harder to lose weight. And that was before I did my fasting labs, where I got results for something that literally, it makes me really emotional. It makes me want to cry, but I'm not going to. And we will get into that in a second. So on top of like my hysterectomy, my lymphedema, my lipedema, and my messed up metabolism, it just seems like nothing wants me to lose weight. I have so many things just like literally fighting against me.
The biggest thing you have fighting against you is the mental illness of B followed by E followed by D. Because no matter what you try to do, that will undermine everything. Because you'll think of reasons you have to stop. You'll think of all this stuff. You'll go in circles. You'll go up and down and around. You'll at times be addicted to the drama around your weight. You're addicted to all of it. You're addicted to thinking about it. You're fixated on food. You're like all that stuff. It gets, especially with it being so severe, it's like so entrenched. And I say to you guys, I don't really have hope for her. I just don't. And that's horrible to say. I just really don't. That's why I probably don't cover her that much, because I don't think Amber's going to get it together. I just don't. I think, I've had hypothyroidism and B followed by E followed by D at the same time. It is a hell of a combination. It's very difficult. And I don't think she has the will to live. I just don't. I don't think that she's willing to honestly fight. You have to fight. It is like a fighting for your life type of situation. And I had to fight for my life. I had to, I really had to sit down and be like, do I want to live? And I was like, I do. So I fought like hell. And it was really hard. And so I'm like, I don't. And I did it. I did do it naturally and all that stuff. It was tough though. And it took a lot of planning. It was tough. But it's like, you got to get it together, girl. You got to get it together. Those GLP-1s, I don't know a lot about all of them, but I know with Ozempic, it's not super pro-thyroid. It's not. It might be tough for you to take it if you're hypo. So I'm just saying, it's very tough.
But I'm not going to give up. So while I was at my doctor's appointment, they ask you like this depression screening. They ask you all these like mental health questions, and mine was not good. I ended up literally breaking down in front of my doctor and in front of my mom. I'm like bawling my eyes out. They're handing me tissue. Like I had a full-fledged like anxiety attack right in front of him. It was really embarrassing, but it genuinely shows like the level of my mental health. Like even someone just asking me like in my live stream like a week ago, they were like, how are you doing? Like it made me break down. I'm feeling everything so strongly and so deeply. My emotions are all over the place and I feel really low, and just a lot of mental health problems that I do not want to speak out loud. I just have constant...
It is almost impossible to not be depressed if you're hypothyroid. It's very, very difficult mentally. It is a mental thing as well, for sure. You typically vacillate between depression, and if it's severe, it can be extreme depression and very high anxiety. It's tough on a mental level, but there's a lot of physical symptoms and stuff too. So it isn't just mental, it's also physical.
Deep, painful emotions that I experience all day long, and it's genuinely ruining my life. Long story short, I was prescribed an SSRI to help with my anxiety, my lows, my depression, and to help with
Okay, that medication is also anti-thyroid. So it means you have to be even stricter. You have to be so strict because you have to really support your thyroid. And I would definitely probably take a thyroid medication if you have to take an SSRI at the same time, because it's not pro-thyroid. And I'm just saying, I understand people have to make decisions and it's tough, but I'm just saying it's a difficult situation to be in. It's very difficult. So you really she'd have to be basically absolutely perfect with her diet in order to even have her medication work. If she took thyroid medication, you have to think of hypothyroidism. It's like a scale. There's like these lifestyle factors, some of which are pro-thyroid and some are anti. And we can never be like 100% pro-thyroid. You just can't. It's not possible. But if you layer thing after thing after thing that is anti-thyroid, it's going to make your medication not even work. And so if you have to take an SSRI, the best thing for you to do is to, like I said, cut those damn seed oils. You don't need to have them. They're not necessary. That's probably like number one, what I would suggest to somebody who is hypo. But then you have to think about estrogenic foods as well. You have to think about estrogen, period. You have to try to normalize it the best you can. You can't have soy. You can't have stuff like that. You have to cut out estrogenic foods. So no alcohol either. People would always get all extra when I was like, I don't eat soy. They're like, oh my gosh. Because again, people have a stupid political point to make about soy that I don't give a fuck about. And neither does my thyroid or my weight loss journey or any of it. You cannot have that shit if you're hypothyroid. And that's in a lot of stuff. So you have to look at ingredients. This is not a license to be loosey-goosey and just not care. And, oh gosh, it's no excuse. It's oh crap, I have to have a very strict lifestyle now. That's what it is, especially if you have to take an SSRI. And like I said, I haven't done extensive research on GLP-1s, but I would not be shocked if they're anti-thyroid, especially with some of those risk factors in some cases of people having thyroid cancer, with Ozempic specifically, and them saying that is a risk factor. I would not suggest it. I didn't take Ozempic for a lot of reasons. I wasn't going to, because first of all, it just wasn't necessary. But second of all, even if it would have made it easier, I wasn't going to, because I was so hypo that I had a lot of mental health effects from it, and I knew that taking Ozempic would make it worse. How did I know that? Because I heard other people's experiences of taking Ozempic. I always said I felt like I would probably want to jump out of a window or something. Like it would make me totally insane if I were taking that medication, because it does make hypo worse, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure. So it doesn't mean don't take it. It doesn't mean this. It doesn't mean that. It means you do everything to bolster your thyroid, to strengthen your thyroid. You have to have peak nutrition, tons of nutrients. Tons. You have to change certain lifestyle factors. You need to go outside, Amber. For example, being in the sun helps your thyroid. I'm just saying, there's so many lifestyle factors that I just can't see her actually being willing to do to help support her thyroid. through some of the medication she's taking, through anything. I just don't see it.
The deep feelings of having BPD, it's not going to help regulate my emotions or anything like that. Like, I have to work on that myself, but it's going to help stabilize me a little bit. So we did my fasting labs and I got those results today. A doctor actually sent me a whole message kind of going over my results and talking about like the abnormal results and what it could mean, etc., etc. And regarding if I have diabetes or not, I want to show you this clip. All right, you guys, my results are in. This is my MacBook. We're zoomed in so you don't see anything personal. I'm signed into my little health portal. I'm going to click test results. So we did a multitude of things here, but we're about to find out. Here's my hemoglobin A1C to determine am I diabetic or not. All right. No. Oh my gosh.
That's good.
I'm telling you, 5.4 is my actual exact number that I always am every time I get this checked. So not even a pre-diabetic.
That's
so
good.
Pre-diabetic would be 5.7 through 6.4.
So that's a good thing. It does help because if you're diabetic on top of it, then you're even hungrier. So I always talked about it when I was super morbidly obese. Your biggest obstacles to weight loss are being hungry and tired, which hypothyroidism makes you both. So it's tough. But if she was diabetic, that would be another thing that makes you hungry and tired.
I do not have diabetes. I'm not even pre-diabetic. That is always something that is just like in the back of my mind. I'm just always fearful that it's going to happen or is happening and I don't know about it. Just because you're fat does not mean you have diabetes, and just because you're skinny doesn't mean you won't get diabetes. But some of my blood work is a little off. Some things that are questionable that he said is something to really worry about right now. But there is something that I'm going to be going on medicine for. Turns out I have hypothyroidism. That's so hard to say for me.
It's very obvious.
So people who have that is a leading cause of weight gain. Like, I've constantly been...
It's a cause of a lot of stuff. But again, within the toxic ritualistic world, messing with your habits around consumption, it also causes it because it can reduce nutrient availability for production purposes. And also if you're having tons of estrogenic foods and tons of seed oils and tons of these things, which again, people don't understand how much people with these issues are actually eating. If you're eating a lot, then it can also cause utilization issues and non-alcoholic fatty liver, which can also cause hypothyroid symptoms. And being that size in and of itself causes such high estrogen that it also will give you hypothyroidism, which, remember, she had to get her uterus removed due to cancer, right? I'm just saying. It's very, very high estrogen coded.
And like, it's hard for me to lose weight because of my lymphedema, my going through menopause at such an early age, the hysterectomy, like the list can just go on. And now, bam, smack in the face.
It just means you have to be super strict for years. And she would get there if she did that. But is she going to do that? I don't know.
Very thing that causes people to gain weight. Like, it's just like, I feel like the world is like against me right now. And I know that could just be like my depression talking, but I just feel really, really overwhelmed and defeated. So having the hypothyroidism, God, I'm gonna hate saying that word. It causes like the hair thinning. So that's also like a double whammy. And it also causes like low moods and depression and exhaustion, brain fog, etc., etc. And I'm just like, wow, this is all also adding up for me. So on top of taking a medicine for that, I'm also going to be taking a vitamin D because it was a little low. It definitely has gotten higher every single time I've gotten it checked. So that's good. But I just feel like, damn.
You need to eat a lot of fat-soluble vitamins, Amber. Lots of them. They help. You need to have very nutrient-dense foods. Like, I'm talking like organ meats and stuff, especially at this point. She's probably very, very severe. Extremely severe. Just in everything. I just feel like she's very severe. But I hate even saying this advice because I know she would never take it, but it's more for people that have these issues to consider and think about, because often you can have production issues simply from being nutrient deficient. So you need to bolster your nutrition as much as you can, and you need to limit chemical exposure. You need to limit like all that stuff, like even things like perfumes and things like that. They're all anti-thyroid too. Like you have to consider things like my mom is hypo as well, and I don't allow her to burn candles in here. Like people don't think about stuff like that, but you have to make certain concessions. She'd need to look into her makeup products that she's using and make sure that they're not estrogenic or they're not toxic. You have to do a lot of stuff, especially once you've reached a hypothyroid state, and especially if you're severe. Now, with other people, I don't think anybody's perfect. I just think that you have to consider where you're at, basically. Like, for example, artificial sweeteners are not pro-thyroid either. They kind of mess with it. And so when I was super morbidly obese, I avoided it like the plague. Now I've had it occasionally in like a protein shake and I'm okay. So it's like, as you get better, you can kind of make certain concessions. And if you really aren't bad, or if it's super mild, subclinical, or if you don't even have it, period, then you probably don't have to worry about these things as much, but it still is something to consider, as you still want to support your thyroid in general. And like I would never make a blanket statement of like, don't take birth control as a woman. But if you are severely hypothyroid, you probably need to get off of it. You see what I'm saying? That would be something to think about. Hormonal birth control being an issue within this problem. Like you need to prioritize your needs and what's going on and figure out what you need to do in your specific situation, what concessions you can make and what you can't. That's how I used to talk about it all the time. You have to figure out like, what are some anti-thyroid things I can take off of the scales, so to speak? And what are some pro-thyroid things I can do? And you kind of like regulate. So obviously taking thyroid medication would be pro-thyroid, but it's not going to be enough if you're doing all this other stuff on the opposite side. So you still probably have to do some lifestyle changes. So it is complex. It's a bitch. Like I said, I keep saying it. I hate it, honestly. I wish I could push a button and just like abolish hypothyroidism from the world. It is just horrible. It is a horrible disease. But it's a reality. It's very real. And yes, there are mental effects, but also physical. And there's a lot of other stuff too, like muscle stiffness, swelling, drastic swelling, inability to absorb calcium and iron, like I said. So it makes you really tired and it makes your muscles really stiff, and it can make your teeth kind of suffer because you're not getting as much calcium. I already talked about a lot of it. Whew, I'm like trying to like talk about it, but also I don't want to because I don't want to relive some of what I've been through. But, whew.
Like what next? Like I genuinely went from taking 0 medicine to now I'm going to be taking 3 medicines a day, and I just feel
you still have to change your lifestyle on a hypothyroid medication or you're going to cancel it out. I have to keep saying it.
Overwhelmed and scared and frustrated. Like I hate medicine, but I know that I have to take it. My week's been rough, and these are just things that like I'm choosing to tell you guys because trust me, your girl has a whole other personal shit show of a life that she is currently going through right now. And I'm telling you, my mental health is so fucking bad, and I cannot wait for this medicine to just like do what it's supposed to do, work in my body, and just me continue to like make healthier choices and just do things that are right for me. So now let's talk about the goals that I had last week, which was literally just one: work on my relationship with food. And yes, I have still been doing that. So I have 2 goals this week. One is I want to keep a food journal. This will help me be aware of things that I'm eating because, as you guys know, like I'm not counting the calories or anything like that. I'm strictly just like making better choices. But I'm finding myself like later in the night.
She should be counting. she's probably not going to do anything. A lot of times you don't do as much if you're not counting. It might be different if you're taking a GLP-1 or something, then you might not have to count, but you kind of have to count if you're not. I'm just saying, you need to count, girl. She's not going to. She's not going to listen, but...
Being like, what have I ate today? Like, why do I feel hungry? Or why this, why that? If I have a food journal, I'll know exactly what I ate. Keeping a food journal is like one of the very most recommended things that like any dietitian or nutritionist will tell you to do. And my second goal is literally just take my medications as directed. And I want to document personally in my journal how I feel when necessary. So my last weigh-in from last week was 513.0, and this week I'm 516.0, and I'm telling you, not surprised. I have everything fighting against me. And right now, I am so overwhelmed with everything going on that I literally just cannot care over 3 pounds of a fluctuation. Genuinely can't. If it happens again next week, that's when I'll care. All right, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
In business relationships,
Yeah, I feel for her. I'm scared for her, to be honest. I don't think she's going to do it. I already told you guys that. I don't know how many more times I can say it, but I don't think she's going to do it. So it's probably just going to progressively get worse. Mine was extremely bad, very fast in life, but it was because of a lot of different factors. One of which was being male, for example. Being male, your body cannot tolerate the higher estrogen for nearly as long. So that was one aspect where it made me really hypo a lot faster. Having fatty liver, doing the behaviors. So I had a lot of reductive phases and then binge phases and going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I was always eating tons and tons and tons of those seed oils no matter what I was doing because I didn't know that it was an issue. Or you have these weird things within the toxic ritualistic where you feel like, oh, if I'm avoiding a saturated fat or something, then it's not going to kill me as fast. That's not true. Saturated fat isn't even bad. It's just excess of calories is bad, period. It doesn't matter. The amount of calories you're eating, it has a lot more to do with if something is bad. It's kind of like that saying, the poison is in the dose. It's the same thing with sugar, saturated fat, protein. Even if you eat drastically way too much protein, you can fry your kidneys. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just eat anything unlimited forever with zero issues. That's just not going to happen. So, yeah, that was my delulu. And unfortunately for me, seed oil consumption was a major thing. And it caused my hypo to be getting worse and worse and worse with the years. So, yeah, just be aware of that. And good luck to anybody who has it. Luckily, it is a spectrum, so it isn't always super horrible and super severe. It can be mild. But take care of it regardless of what you do. And yes, you do have to lose the weight. That is a part of treatment. That is probably the biggest thing that has helped me is losing the weight. So with that, you guys, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.